we hope to deliver the very same thing that we've done for gamers today, but for all of entertainment. Gaming is one of the biggest opportunities in the world today, and at Razer, we are at the forefront of gaming. So we invite everyone to join us in our mission for gamers by gamers.
All right, thank you very much for coming today. We have got a full house today. It's pretty exciting to see everyone over here. My name is Min. I am the co-founder and CEO of Razer. So thank you so much for taking the time today. Just maybe a quick show of hands. I see a lot of people out here. Any gamers out here today? Gamers? Well, we need a lot more gamers in Hong Kong, and I think we're going to get that. But what I'm going to do today, especially I think without having to talk to the gamers out here, is that I'm sure many of you are already familiar with Razer, but I'm going to share a little bit about our vision, what we did in terms of when we first founded the company from day one till today. So really quickly, we were founded back in 2005, and it's been a long 12 years since then. We've built a phenomenal brand, a massive ecosystem. You know, we've created a global footprint that has made us #1 in the US, in Europe, and in Asia at the same time. So we are headquartered out of San Francisco. So I'm based there most of the time. I head back and forth. You know, our dual headquarters are out of Singapore, where our CFO, Edwin, resides together with our COO. I'll do some quick introductions afterwards about the team. Our European headquarters are out of Hamburg in Germany. Our Chinese headquarters are out of Shanghai. And of course, Singapore is our Asia ex-China headquarters. Now, what's the relevance of all of this? Simply put, we are the #1 brand in the US, we are the #1 brand in Europe, and we are the #1 brand in China for gamers everywhere. So, really quickly, we've built a phenomenal management team to really present. And now I'm going to literally stand over here so you can take photos of me. I'm just kidding. But we've built a phenomenal management team, right? Pretty much focused on bringing the very best to gamers everywhere. Myself, I head out the brand, I head out the marketing, I head out the product design for the company. Together with me is Edwin Chan, our CFO. Edwin, maybe just take a quick wave at everyone. So Edwin handles everything to do with our finances, in terms of our MIS, etc. Cor is our COO. Huge amount of experience, and he heads out everything there is to do with the operations, the manufacturing, and the engineering. Now, together with a really strong depth in terms of the management, we've built out specific BU leads for systems, peripherals, and software, hyper-focused at each and every segment of the BU. So, as I move on very quickly, to talk a little bit about our board of directors, as well as the institutional investors that we've put together. Now, first up, in terms of our board, Carl, or Carling Lim, or Carl as I like to call him, right? He was one of our earliest seed investors. He's one of the founders of Premises, a multi-billion-dollar company back in the 90s. An incredibly good friend of mine, and we've worked together as him, a founding seed investor of the company. But we've also put together a really, really stellar board of independent directors. And who are they? First up, Mr. Gideon Yu. He's an icon in the Silicon Valley. He's very well known. One of the co-owners of the 49ers. He was CFO at YouTube. He was CFO at Facebook to prepare the company for its public listing back in the day. Bless you. So over and above, we've also got Mr. Kevin Chow, really experienced. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him over here in Hong Kong. He's very familiar with luxury brands, and that's one of the reasons why we thought he would be a great addition to our board. And finally, Yong Sun, Mr. Lee Yong Sun, Vice Chairman and CFO, Group CFO of the Kerry Group. So with this truly, truly stellar board, in fact, I think we've assembled one of the best boards, or most international boards that any Hong Kong public listed company has ever seen. And they will be guiding us, the management team, to the next level. Now, what about our institutional investors? Well, first up, we have IDG, one of the top VCs in China. We've got Excel partners who have funded people like Facebook back in the early days. We've got Intel Capital, one of the stellar tech investors out of Santa Clara. And of course, BYD, Foxconn, and most recently is a gentleman I'm sure that many of you guys would be very familiar with, Mr. Li Ka-shing. Is also one of our investors at Razer. So, very quickly, what is our mission? In a single line, it's for gamers, by gamers. And when we talk about the gamers, we're talking about the 2.2 billion gamers out there. And that demographic has completely changed over the past couple of years. And why do I say that? Well, when I first started playing games as a gamer, the stereotype of the gamer used to be male, living in his parents' basement. In the US, I'll be called a geek. In Japan, I'll be called an otaku. In China, I'll be called a zainan. In Hong Kong, what would you guys call me? Let me think. Zai Lam. Okay, fine. You would call me that also at the same time, right? But the whole demographic has really changed. Think about it. You've got 5-year-olds now playing Minecraft. You've got gamers getting older. You've got, think about one of the biggest games right now in China, 王者荣耀, where 50% of the players are female. That's how the demographic has completely changed. Why is that the case? Well, because 71% of millennials today, or 90后, or millennials, etc., 71% of millennials play games. No matter whether they're male or female, that's what they do. Ask them. 60% of them watch esports, and only 30% of them watch traditional sports anymore. This is the new world. And Razer, as a company, is a very simple company to understand, especially if you're a gamer. There are just 3 things that you need to know about the company, that you need to know about Razer, that you need to know about us. Number 1, it's the brand. Number 2, it's the ecosystem that we've created. Hardware, software, services. And number 3, it's all about the global footprint that we've created today. Now let's talk about the brand. In a single line, we are the world's leading lifestyle brand for gamers. That is who we are. And I would love to talk all day long, and bore you to death about our brand, but I thought it would be probably more instructive to kind of share with you the journey that we took from 2005 when I first founded the company till 2017 today when I'm here together with you guys in Hong Kong. You'll see from the early days the footage of the video is not going to be great because we couldn't afford a very good camera, all right? But trust me, the footage gets better, the crowds get bigger, the fans get more passionate along the way, and in fact, you will see at the final stage, the opening of the Hong Kong store, which many of you I recognize were actually at the opening of the store itself. So you remember that was actually under heavy rain when we had thousands and thousands of our fans still appearing, still incredibly dedicated to what we believe in for gamers, by gamers. Now, so here, join us 2005 to 2017, the journey that we've undertaken. Can we hit the lights really quickly? Here we go. have seen, our fans can be really, really passionate. And I think any brand out there can say that their fans are passionate, but the next slide, I have been told, has never, ever been shown in a roadshow deck before. And here we go. We are the only brand of one of two in the history of time that have people tattooing logos on themselves. So when I say passionate, I mean these guys are truly, truly passionate. Two brands in the history of technology that people have tattooed logos on themselves. One of them is Apple 20 years ago. The other is us. Today, Razer. Thousands and thousands of fans out there that have committed their lives to what we believe in. Our mission, for gamers, by gamers. So, as a quick segue, while we're still on the topic of the brand, let's talk about esports. And I know many of you guys are incredibly interested about esports. Why? Because many of you are writing articles every single day about esports. And there's a good reason for that. Because today, esports has completely disrupted all of traditional sports. We are talking about 322 million people tuning into esports when viewership for traditional sports is falling down through a cliff. We are seeing this double potentially to 665 million in the next couple of years. In China alone, we're talking about 218 million people watching esports. It's a massive, massive audience. And the biggest brand in all of esports is Razer. And why is that the case? Well, we work with some of the best esports athletes in the world under the Team Razer brand. Today, the #1 brand in all of esports. We're coming over here to Hong Kong. We're committed to stay. We're committed to investing in the city. And we're working with some people like Faker. He makes $3 million, I apologize, $3 million a year. In case anyone is thinking of a career change, now's a great time to think about it. And he is a committed, die-hard Razer fan. He uses our products to win. He represents our brand on the global stage. He is a 3-time world champion and defending his 4th title at this point of time. League of Legends is not your taste? Well, what about Dota 2? Well, the #1 team in Dota 2 is Team Liquid. They themselves won $10.8 million in a single game at the International this year. But we don't just work with the guys like Faker or Team Liquid. We also work with some of the best influencers in the world. Guys like PewDiePie, right? PewDiePie is the #1 YouTuber, and YouTube today is the #1 TV network in the world. We're talking about 57 million subscribers out there who are committed followers to PewDiePie. We've also got Twitch streamers like Syndicate, the #1 Twitch streamer. And I'm sure many of you who follow many of the other gamers in the world, you know, maybe a couple of days ago we had Nicholas Z also posting pictures of his Razer Blade. We had Angela Baby, also posting pictures about her blade. We are seeing gamers from all walks of life. And how many gamers are there out there? 2.2 billion gamers. And who is the #1 brand for them? We are at Razer. So, that's the first thing that we're talking about, the brand. What's the second thing? What do we do? We have built a phenomenal and incredible ecosystem of hardware, software, and services. Now bear in mind, we are not a hardware company. Some people might say, isn't Razer a hardware company? We're not a hardware company. And some people might say, Razer's got tons and tons of software people. In fact, most of the people at Razer are software engineers. Yes, but we are not a software company either. Now, some of you will say, well, didn't Razer design and launch one of the best new services for gamers just recently called Zigo? Yes, but we are not a services company too. What we are is an ecosystem company. An ecosystem of hardware, software, and services with one person in the middle. And that is the gamer. So the gamer is who we design for Today, we are #1 in the world for gaming peripherals. We're one of the top 3 brands in the world for gaming laptops. And we have sold over $1 billion US dollars for the past 3 years for hardware alone. Software. We've built a massive, massive software platform. We've got an IoT platform called Synapse that connects everyone together. We've got a Chroma platform, an RGB platform that is peerless to none in the world. We've got Cortex, that single third-party platform that binds all of the other launchers together. And how many people do we have on it? Well, over 35 million users on our platform, close to 40 million users today. And finally, the first service we just launched this year with close to 3 million wallets that have been created, Razer ZGold, that single virtual currency that binds all of the 2,500 games out there. Everything revolving around one thing, and that is the brand. So from the hardware, from the very early days when we first created the company, to 2005 till today, we continue to disrupt the entire gaming peripherals category. We continue to disrupt the gaming laptop industry. We've now shipped how much? $1 billion of product over the past 3 years. On top of that, we've also got software. We've got Synapse, Chroma, Cortex, over 35 million users at this point of time. As a software company, we are a massive, massive platform. Finally, ZGold. Now, how do you buy ZGold? Well, ZGold you can buy online with Visa, you can buy it offline with over 1 million points offline that gamers can exchange money to top up their digital wallets. And what for? To play games for over 2,500 different games out there. It's truly phenomenal. So finally, this is the ecosystem that we've created. Hardware, software, services. All of that under a single ecosystem. Now, some of you may ask, who is our competitor? Now, we either have many competitors or we have none. Why is that the case? Well, do we have competitors in the hardware space? Absolutely. But all of them don't do software, they don't do services. Do we have competitors in the software space? Absolutely, but they don't do hardware and they don't do services. So on and so forth. Now, we are the single company, the only company in the entire gaming industry that has the entire ecosystem of hardware, software, and services. And to that end, we have no competitor or any competitor in sight. Finally, we've spoken about the brand. We've spoken about the ecosystem that we've built. Now let's talk about the global distribution for the brand and the footprint that we have created. 49% of our sales are in the US. Just think about it. 28% of our sales are in Europe, and of course, 23% of our sales are in APAC. And something that we are very proud of is that we, as a global company, a global brand, we are also not just #1 in the US, but #1 in Europe, but also #1 in China. And that is something we're really, really proud of. And today, as a global tech company, there are many firsts for us. And I believe that this is also the first time that a global tech brand has come to go public right here in Hong Kong. So I'm really, really proud about that. So, what is our distribution footprint? Well, you'll see our products at Best Buy in the US, you'll see our products at Media Saturn in Europe, you see it at Walmart, you see it at Target, you see it online at Jingdong, you can see our products, you can see it on Tmall, and every time in the Double 11 day, you will see that our products are always listed first on Jingdong and first on Tmall. On Prime Day, on Amazon, we are also ranked #1 in our categories. And that's the phenomenal platform that we have created. Now, we have spoken about the company. We're incredibly excited about what we've created, but what is the next level? Couple of things. First up, there are 3 things that we're going to be doing. #1, we are going to broaden the appeal of our brand. #2, we are going to deepen the market penetration that we're in. Number 3, and we will continue to introduce new categories. Now, what kind of categories are we going to go into? Incredibly exciting stuff. Today, we dominate the laptop space. Everyone out there for the PC gamers know who we are. We dominate the console space. We work with people like Xbox, we work with people like PlayStation. And very soon, in fact, in the next 24 to 48 hours, we will also be launching our new mobile platform. And we will be entering the mobile space too. So some of the most exciting new categories, Razer will be entering at this point of time. And we have a phenomenal track record of innovation. Many of the things that we do, oftentimes I'm asked, isn't Razer doing some really, really difficult things? Yes, we are. But over and over and over again, we have proven an incredible track record of being able to execute over and over. We've disrupted the peripheral space. We have disrupted the gaming laptop space. We've disrupted even the services space or the software space. And we continue to do that every single time. Finally, what's going to happen for Razer in the next 10 years? Well, simply put, today we dominate the gaming space, but we are enthusiastic. We see the huge potential in all of entertainment. We are now looking at everything from the cinema space to even the music space. And to that end, I look forward to having every single one of you join us for our mission, join us for our journey, join us for the rest of the way when we focus on just one thing, for gamers, by gamers. So thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys have been able to share a little bit about this with me. I would like to introduce on stage with me my friend and my CFO, Mr. Edwin Chan. Thank you very much.
There we go.
Testing.
Thanks, Min. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to take the next few minutes to share with everybody a financial summary in terms of how we perform and how we intend to continue to perform well as Razer Inc. So you have with you in your seats the prospectus. There are a lot of information and data points in there, and what I seek to do here is to provide you a very succinct view as to what we think about the business. Let me stand to this side so you can see the slides. So first up, since founding, we have been a big beneficiary of the rising tide of gamers in gaming, and as a result, you've seen a very strong momentum since founding in 2005. So from a single-digit million-dollar business to what we have today, we have a trajectory that continues to grow and propel our plans forward as we kind of add new categories, products, hardware, software, and services per our ecosystem strategy that Min covered earlier. So very strong momentum since 2005. As we focus on investing across the business, we are actually very, very focused on growing the profitable core business that drives all the revenue and cash today so that we can invest into new categories. And why do we get so focused on new categories for the gamers and the youth? It's essentially to drive the long-term scale so that we can provide and cover for the needs of all gamers around the world. So we expect a long-term growth and scale in the business as we continue to invest. And today, you'll find that we already have undertaken many investments, particularly in the areas of system laptops, mobile devices, as well as services. And these growth investments are expected to drive scale and operating leverage, meaning we will continue to convert all our new investment areas very quickly into the profitable core and grow the core so that we can fund new investment areas over and over again. So as such, given the brand that we have, you've seen the passionate crowds and the strong relationships we've built with gamers all over the world. We have a very strong brand that positions us very well to dominate all the markets that we've identified for gamers. And many of these opportunities are very large and growing addressable markets. We've talked about esports. We now talk about mobile devices, software, and services around mobile. We also see China as a very big opportunity, partly why we are listing Razer in Hong Kong. And last but not least, you'll find that in the numbers shown in the prospectus, we have one of the strongest working capital cycles. What it means is that we are very good curators of our cash. We've also been very blessed by a very strong supportive base of shareholders, including Mr. Li Ka-shing. And as a result, we work within our internal operations to make sure that not only do we manage the cash well, we generate cash from our businesses really quickly and continue to be profitable so that we can sponsor and support all the investment categories that we have identified. And to date, because of the strong shareholder base, we've not had to take on any debt. So with the listing in Hong Kong, we have further plans, of course, to further our investments, and you can tell from our use of proceeds, we are allocating 10% to working capital and focusing the rest of the proceeds towards the brand, whereby 20% will be used to deepen and broaden the reach of the brand globally. And as of the rest of the use of proceeds, we are going to be focused on really new categories. We will continue to invest into better R&D know-how, including teams and technology. As for the new verticals that we've identified as new categories that we want to break into with the brands for gamers, we are dedicating 25% of the proceeds towards that. Last but not least, we'll be on a path to really look out for really good companies and teams to acquire so that we can continue to build and accelerate the know-how within the company to pursue the ecosystem strategy that Min talked about as well. So without further ado, I will invite Mr. Alan Chew upstage to help us sum up before we head on to investment highlights.
Thank you very much, everyone. For gamers, by gamers, Razer is a truly amazing company. And as Min mentioned, it is also